Hey everybody, this is Stratagem, and today I'm gonna give you my top 5 worst episodes of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic Season 7. And boy, are we gonna be grasping at straws here. Season 7 has been really great, and I was struggling to come up with 5 bad episodes. And ultimately, I couldn't do it. So these are my 5 least favorite episodes. None of them are really that bad, they're just weaker than the rest of the season, at least in my opinion. Now bear in mind, this is my list. I try to give explanations as to why I think these episodes aren't that good, but a lot of it just boils down to personal preference, especially my number 1 pick. But hey, I am not a professional critic, so let's stop babbling and get right to it. Number 5. Triple Threat, Episode 15. Damn, I kinda like this episode. It's got both Amber and Thorax in it, so how could it not be good? Well, for one, the story is weak and tired. It's the classic two-timer date trope. That story has been done to death. Hell, it's even been the plot for the last act of Season 2's Sweet and Elite, and it was done better there. The resolution is predictable as well. Amber and Thorax meet, get mad at Spike, and ultimately they get along despite their differences. So Spike's worries were completely unnecessary. Also, Spike's going on about his map mission completely wrong, trying to find and fix the most minuscule of problems. Like Rarity in Made in Manhattan, when she thought that preventing a pony from buying an ugly hat would be the problem. Oh yeah, that's some hard-hitting criticism right here. Maybe the next episode will be better. Or rather, worse. Number 4. A Health of Information. Episode 20. Okay, time to get nitpicky and overanalyze a children's cartoon. First off, there's the quote-unquote retcon of the Eastern Unicorn, Meadowbrook, into a not Eastern Earth Pony. That is probably more of a mistake in the cutie map though. Starlight and Twilight most likely meant Mistmane in the first place. Well, we're off to a great start, aren't we? Now then, how about this? Fluttershy was out cold for 3 whole days, yet Twilight and Cattail were unable to get the honey. Couldn't Twilight just use this spell and have Cattail grab the honey while she maintains it? Also, the cure for this highly contagious, deadly illness is just some honey. No additional ingredients, no special preparation, just flesh bee honey. And in over 1,000 years, no pony else ever figured that out? One of the early symptoms is coughing, so hot tea with honey is something commonly drunk when one has a cough. You're telling me that this wasn't discovered by someone else by accident? And no pony ever thought to read through Meadowbrook's journals in over 1,000 years? None of her descendants thought to spread the word of how to simply cure this deadly affliction? That's kinda hard to believe. And while we're on the topic of Meadowbrook's journals, there are 2 more things. Despite her keeping very extensive notes on everything, she just forgot to write down that the mask was all that's needed to calm down the bees? Why would she skip over such a crucial detail? And finally, why aren't her journals written in Old Ponish? The books about her were written in that language, as was Starswell's journal. But Fluttershy, who needed a book to translate from Old Ponish back in Twilight's library, could read Meadowbrook's journal just fine, meaning it's written in modern Equestrian, or however the language is called nowadays. Truly the worst of problems right here. Let's move on to number 3. Honest Apple, Episode 9. Finally an episode with some proper problems to address. First of all, 10 out of 10 planning there, Rarity. You got the designers, you got Hoity Toity and Photo Finish from Canterlot as the judges, but you only ask the final judge 1 day before the contest is supposed to start whether or not she even wants to participate. Perfect. Nothing can go wrong here. It's not like Applejack has a farm to tend to, or that she sometimes has to travel to faraway places for her work. Oh wait. Luckily though, AJ has got some time, and conveniently, today of all days is when Apple Bloom decides to wear an impractical hat that sways her sister's opinion on the whole fashion judging thing. What are the odds? Especially considering the fact that Apple Bloom already wears her huge ribbon all the time. Why would you want to wear a hat instead all of a sudden? Ignoring those minor plot conveniences, let's go to the main problem here, Applejack being completely out of character. First off, she has white light before to spare other ponies' feelings.
What did she do to my hair? I know she did something terrible to my hair! It's gorgeous.
You know what? This is what we were expecting. Right, every pony?
Being brutally honest to the point of being rude is more something that Rainbow Dash would do.
You are a totally different pony now. I mean, you were pretty awful.
Rainbow Dash.
What? She was!
And on top of that, AJ destroying Lily Lace's hat is complete bullshit. For, as she said herself in Canterlot Boutique,
I know hard work when I see it.
So that's completely unacceptable. Applejack goes way out of character in order to get some sort of conflict into the episode. Now, what could be even worse? Well, of course, number 2. Fluttershy Leans In, Episode 5. Now, this is an episode I knew would make this list when I first saw it. There are 3 major problems that annoy me about this one. Let's start off with the big one. Fluttershy suddenly has a lifelong dream we never heard about before. Okay, so before she was too shy to ever bring it up and yada yada. Fine. from a narrative perspective, I get it. Fluttershy seems to finally have completed the overcoming her shyness arc that started way back in the first episode of the show. She probably won't get any more assertive than she is now, and it seems the writers actually stick with it this time. No more reverting back to her episode 1 self over and over and over again. That's good. And so, the writers want to give her a new goal to work towards too. That's good too. And then, this lifelong dream is achieved in the very same episode it is first brought up in. What the fuck? This could have been the beginning of another big storyline for her, slowly working towards a huge goal over time. But nope. This is my dream, I got 20 minutes to achieve it, bam, done. Not only is this a huge waste of potential, it also makes this dream feel completely unsatisfying and inconsequential. Let's compare this to the story arcs of Rainbow Dash and Rarity. Rainbow first mentioned wanting to join the Wonderbolts in the very first episode. The first step towards this goal was in Season 1 as well, Sonic Rainboom, winning the Best Young Flyers competition. She went on to meet the Wonderbolts several times later on, at the gala, during the Winter Water Gathering, before finally being accepted into the Wonderbolts Academy in Season 3. A whole season later, she takes the exam to join the Wonderbolts Reserve. And then, after competing against the Bolts in the Equestria Games, she finally gets to fly with them for the first time in Season 5, Rarity Investigates. And it still takes until Season 6 for her to become a full-fledged Wonderbolt, in episode 124. Now onto Rarity. She mentions wanting to have a boutique in Canterlot in episode 1 as well. During the first 2 seasons, she's slowly getting contacts in the fashion scene, meeting Hoity Toity, Photo Finish, Fancy Pants, and so on. In Season 4 then, she gets a big order from Sapphire Shores, which allows her to finally buy a place in Canterlot to open Canterlot Carousel in Season 5, episode 105. And from there, her goals adjust. She expands, opening up another boutique in Manhattan, bringing back another fashion contact she made back in Season 4, Coco Pomel. Rarity for You is established in episode 126. Both Rarity and Rainbow Dash needed over 100 episodes to reach their goals. It was a slow, gradual process, and at the end, it felt earned. We saw how they slowly grew as characters, and made all the little choices and achievements that ultimately led them to achieving their goals. Fluttershy's lifelong dream, on the other hand, introduced and solved in the same episode. Wham bam, thank you ma'am. It leaves no impact and just feels unsatisfying. What could and should have been a huge step for Fluttershy just feels like another random filler episode. Okay, that was the biggest problem. Let's have a look at the 2 smaller ones, starting with Fluttershy and the experts. At the end of the episode, it turns out that Fluttershy was right all along and the experts were wrong. What's wrong with that? Well, even if Fluttershy was right, she did an awful job at communicating her ideas to absolutely everyone involved. I watched the episode way more often than I intended to, and still, during the episode I have no idea what she even wants. Oh, she tells the experts what she doesn't want. That is, everything they suggest. But she never makes it clear what it is she does want. And obviously, I'm not the only one who doesn't get it. Her friends don't get it either. That's a core issue with the experts here. They were completely useless for this endeavor. Imagine you want to fix your car, and you suck so much at communication that your friends send you a lawyer, a plumber, and a rocket surgeon. All of those guys are experts, but none of them are useful for fixing a damn car. It's the same thing here. We have a construction worker, when there's no buildings to be built, or fences, or anything. It's a wide open field with burrows and nests and all that. What's a construction worker to do here? Then we have an expert for animal enclosures, when there are no enclosures, just natural animal habitats. Because screw those bunnies, they'll get eaten by the snakes and they're gonna like it. Fluttershy knows best after all. And finally, the interior designer, when there are no interiors. And it is at this point that I realized that it's not just me and Fluttershy's friends who don't understand what she wants. Fluttershy herself doesn't seem to have a clue either. How did she not tell Rarity off the very second she mentioned an interior designer? Yeah, thanks Rarity, surely you do mean well, but an interior designer is not going to be helpful here. The other two, maybe, with some mental gymnastics one might find some sort of use for their skills. But the interior designer? Get out! And finally, the last problem with the episode. It's a short one, but it deserves mention, as it is the main reason I dislike rewatching this. The episode is boring. There's no action, hardly any conflict, and it's not even funny. It just happens, and then it's over, without any impact or anything memorable happening. Triple Threat had Amber and Thorax become friends, the map sending Spike on a mission for the first time, and foreshadowing of renegade changelings who may or may not be gone by now. Health of Information brought us another pillar of Equestria, an interesting new locale, and a pretty terrifying disease. Honest Apple gave us those 3 designers and Gitarity. And Fluttershy Leans In gave us, well, I guess Sweet Feather Sanctuary is a place that exists now. So how could any episode be even worse? Well, my personal number 1 pick for worst episode of Season 7 is Not Asking for Trouble, episode 11. Remember when I said this list might not be completely objective and boil down to personal preference? Yeah, that's just the case here. I really do not like the yaks. Objectively speaking, this episode is probably better than Fluttershy Leans In. At least it had some fun scenes and wasn't as boring, and it didn't waste potential. But alas, the yaks. Those stupid one-note yaks. To me, this kills the episode. Not much to say here, this is definitely the most subjective and unfair pick on the list. But this is my list, and I really dislike the yaks. They aren't even entertaining or have interesting designs like the dragons do. They're just awful. And also, this was the mid-season finale. Both episodes 10 and 12 would have been way better for that occasion, especially episode 10, so that's another strike against Not Asking for Trouble. Well then, those were my top 5 worst episodes this season. Honestly, the only episodes I'd actually skip when rewatching the season are Fluttershy Leans In and Not Asking for Trouble. All the others are at least somewhat entertaining to me, even if Honest Apple has some serious problems as well. Feel free to leave your own opinions, worst episode lists, and reasons why I am the worst in the comment section. I'm currently working on my list of top episodes this season, and damn, that's turning out to be pretty difficult. Maybe that one will be a top 10 instead of just 5, as there was just too many good episodes this season. Anyway, this video is already long enough as it is, so as always, I've been Stratagem, thanks for watching and see you next time.